Hello, thanks for joining me. My name is Bianca. I'm the owner and artist of Lotus Theory Designs, and today I want to talk to you about how to create a raised stencil effect on your furniture or home decor projects. This video is a live that I did recently on my Facebook page. I decided to chop it and reconfigure it so it would be easier for you to follow along. So let's get into it. The first thing I am doing is laying down my stencil onto my surface, in this case a drawer to a wall shelf. However, you can use this technique on furniture as well. Tip: secure your stencil to your surface using tape so it does not move around while you are applying your medium of choice. Once my stencil is in place, I reach for Dixie Belle's Dixie Mud. In this case, I used black. Mud comes in 3 colors: white, black, and brown. It's really your choice. I started by stirring my mud up really well, and using a stick I begin to start applying it to my surface. You can also use a spatula. Here are some tips to applying your mud to your stencil. You can make a design choice depending on what you're doing. I opted for a messy lay with a bit of dabbing to add texture since I am doing an industrial styled brick lay. If you wanted to do a smooth lay, you can also do so as I am demonstrating here, using your spatula or stick to smooth it out like you would frosting on a cake. I like to lay my mud on nice and thick, but you can also do a thin layer. Again, the design choice is yours to make. Once you have your mud on your stencil the way you like it, the first thing I always do is close the lid to my mud jar so that it does not dry out. Next, I am going to very carefully lift my stencil up. Be sure to do this in one smooth, gentle motion so you do not smear your mud. Make sure you let your mud dry before moving on to the next step. I usually let it sit overnight. Next, we're going to sand our mud. The reason for this is because you do not want sharp edges on your project. So I like to take 220 grit sandpaper and give it a scuff sand, enough to just smooth down any sharp edges and make it so that it is smooth to touch. You want to make sure when you're doing this that you do not sand too deep. You do not want to remove your texture. Again, the goal is just to smooth down the rough edges. Tip: use a light hand. Try not to apply too much pressure. When you're done, do not be surprised by the dusty mess. I usually just grab a shop vac and vacuum away the excess dust. I will also assess my sanding job by running my hand over it to make sure that I do not have any sharp edges left. Once my piece is all clean, I reach for paint. In this case, I am using Dixie Belle's Caviar, which is their black. I am applying a coat of caviar, and as I am doing it, I am swirling my brush to make sure that I get inside of the nooks and crannies of the texture. I am also using water in a mister bottle to spread my paint around easier. Using water will also help you to avoid brush strokes. I let this dry before moving on to my next step. Next up, I get creative with my finish. I reach for Dixie Belle's Antebellum Blue, which is a deep turquoise. I am going to use this color in addition to Caviar to create a rough, industrial-style blend on my surface. Since this video is mainly about raised stencil, I don't want to get too deep into the paint technique. However, I will give you some tips. I am alternating between the 2 colors, Caviar and Antebellum Blue, in sporadic fashion, and I am lightly blending the 2 together. My goal here is a rough blend rather than a seamless blend, so I am not taking a whole lot of time to blend the edges where the paint transitions from one color to the next. I will also note that I am not putting the Antebellum Blue on with a lot of pressure. My goal here is to dust over the brick with the color but not fill in the details of the brick with the Antebellum Blue because I want the black to show through the brick details to create depth and dimension. You can layer your paint as much as you want until you get your desired results. Once you do, let dry. For my last step, I reach for Dixie Belle's patina paint in bronze. You can use the patina paint line as a standalone paint. I am using a round, small brush, and using the side of the brush, I am lightly feathering over the brick details. See how that bronze is showing up in all the right places without overwhelming the piece? I continue this process throughout the entire drawer, focusing only on the brick details. I should also note that I put paint on my brush, but I dabbed away the excess before doing this. This will help you to have more control over how much paint goes on. And that's it, a simple technique to create a beautiful raised stencil effect on your furniture and home decor projects. It's a creative way to add a special touch to anything that you're working on without breaking the bank. Let's take a look at the finished product. If this video helped you learn something, a great way to say thank you is to order your Dixie Belle products using the affiliate link provided in my description. I get a small credit for my efforts, and you won't pay more, and your products will be delivered right to your front door. It's a win-win for everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.